Alright, this is our presentation of Elie Wiesel, Parallels of Indifference by Cassandra Duran and Cole Garrett. Elie was a writer, professor, and political activist, and best known for his book Nights, and this documents his experience as a Jewish prisoner through the Holocaust and World War II. He won a Nobel Peace Prize in 1986 for his book. Born September 30th, 1928 in Romania. At age 15, he was sent to the concentration camp Auschwitz in Germany, and his entire family was in 1944. While his family did not survive, Elie was released in 1945, surviving the Holocaust. After being released, he became a journalist in France until he eventually moved to New York when he became an American citizen. Here he became a husband, father, but continued to write and stand for what he believed in. Elie's commitment to the cause was he started a human rights foundation in his efforts to embrace and represent all people and all races. No particular audience to his cause, Elie wanted everyone to be treated fairly and with all respect. Elie's Parallels of Indifference speech was made April 12, 1999 at the White House. His speech was about him during his time in the concentration camp and how he was nearly forgotten, and he makes a point where no one should ever have to feel this way. The Bosnian War led to an ethnic cleansing in 1992, and years later, the Kosovo War was suspected to be doing the same thing. However, at the time, Elie was preparing to make his infamous speech and ensure that his argument was on the matter and was very clear. With the world unrest, Elie's speech begged people to care. Within his speech was a carefully constructed argument in response to the suggestion of racial cleansing, an issue that Elie had spent his entire life trying to speak up for. Pullman model is a tool used to help us understand an argument better. Most strong arguments will be composed to these parts, and Elie's argument is no different. By breaking apart his speech, we can more easily identify his important points that help us solidify his arguments. There are 4 types of claims in an argument: claim of fact, value, policy, and definition. Each of these different ideas still require both data and warrant to make an argument complete.
In his speech, Elie makes the claim, indifference, after all, is more dangerous than anger or hatred. This particular claim is a claim of value, meaning it makes a judgment on what is right and what is wrong. He continues to prove his point by providing data to further back his claim. Data is defined as information for which the claim is based. It gives supporting evidence to the argument as a whole and can come in various forms such as facts, statistics, and examples. It is important to have strong and accurate data in order to properly support the argument. Elie's data is spread all throughout his speech. His first piece of data is his own personal experience during the Holocaust and the recollection of the horrors he and thousands of others endured during their stay at the concentration camps. He also reminisces on how grateful he was for the rage he saw in the American soldiers' eyes when they finally saved him. Elie further provides data by defining indifference, a state of being where we do not differentiate between good or bad, or we become numb to a situation. He shares the tragic stories of its effects on people. people in the camps who were reduced to emotionless souls who could no longer feel a thing. To Elie, this loss of feeling made a person inhuman. One of Eli's last points is about the indifference in our own country. In 1939, a ship of Jewish refugees was sent back to Germany on the St. Louis after already being in U.S. waters. When we could have saved these humans and let them disembark, we turned our backs instead and chose to ignore the injustices that were occurring. Warrants are defined as the bridges that bring together the data and the claim. They tie the two together and connect them in a way that helps further prove their point to the audience. By providing substantial data, the warrant may already be inferred and can be left unsaid. Other times, the writer may explicitly state the warrant to help the audience better understand. In his speech, Elie states, "Indifference, then, is not only a sin, it is a punishment," which warrants his claim that indifference can be worse than hatred or anger. Indifference is punishing those who need to be cared about. By ignoring what is happening, indifference only adds to the suffering. The only consolation Elie said that he and the other prisoners had felt was telling themselves that no one knew about their imprisonment. Because if people had known, then they should have been freed much sooner. Of course, we know now much of the world did have knowledge of the ongoings, and to prisoners, this was the ultimate betrayal. The bridge between the data and the claim become clear once Elie explains the feelings of betrayal by those who were indifferent and did not care to help the situation. He strengthens his argument while he states that anger and hatred will always elicit some type of response. The indifference hurts more, however, and makes someone inhuman by their lack of compassion. To conclude our presentation, we leave you with two discussion questions. The first, do you agree with Elie's argument of indifference being more dangerous than hatred? Why or why not? And finally, how could have incorrect or biased data affected Elie's overall argument?